Hi, welcome to today's live. Today we will talk about who brings the stinky topics in the relationship, whether it's the husband, the wife, which means the man or the woman, or and then what is the way forward. All right. Now, primarily, I would say today's video is uh, for women. Don't take any offense. This is what I'm going to talk about right now. This topic has been researched a lot, and I'm going to be sharing with you the findings of that research. And there are certain principles which I'm going to talk about, which will be applicable to both husband and wife, right? Now, as far as this question is concerned, in terms of who brings about the stinky topics in the relationship, the research by Gottman Institute has shown that it is always the woman who brings about the stinky topics. Okay, but there is no need to feel sad because further the finding says even in the happiest of marriages, happiest of the couples that you see around, there also the dirty topics, the stinky topics are brought about by a woman. Okay, so whether it's a happy marriage or whether it's a struggling marriage, the negative topics are always brought about by the woman. Okay, so then if in happy marriages and in struggling marriages, if wife is the one who is bringing up the negative issues, how is it that people still manage to have happy marriages, happy married life? Because there also the woman is responsible for bringing those negative issues, right? But then how is it that their marriage is still very happy and they are thriving? The reason, the difference you can say is only one. Okay, so the difference between the happiest couples and the struggling couples is this common point: woman brings about the stinky topics. The difference is that the way woman starts the conversation, that's what decides the root of, that's what decides the path of the discussion, and that's what decides the path of the relationship as well. This is the research finding, and I'm going to now tell you what do you do about it. Okay, now does it mean that if there is something troubling inside your head, or you have something really stinky to discuss, you are going to stop yourself from discussing it? No, you will certainly be discussing it, but doing what? Doing these points. All these points that I'm telling you, they go hand in hand. Okay, so the difference, when we say that in happiest marriages also the woman is bringing, talking about those issues, she's the one who's initiating those topics, then the difference is in the startup. Okay, the way you're starting the conversation. So how is that woman who is in a happy marriage, how is she starting the conversation? Okay, though it's not a very good conversation, it's not a very favorable conversation, but how is she starting that conversation? And I personally believe that, though this is the research, I also wish to believe that these points also apply to men. Okay, so number one, you got to understand that when you're discussing, when you're bringing up the topic, you are only talking about that particular situation. That's point one, which means that you are not going to bring past into the present moment. You are also not going to be discussing the future. And let's be honest to ourselves that women would normally discuss, women would normally, bring past into the present, and or she would take the present scenario, the present discussion into the future. Okay, so the one of the things that you're going to keep in mind, which is a part of a good startup, is keep yourself limited to that current situation, period. Okay, second point is, you're going to be, when you're discussing, your focus needs to be on the solution. And again, let's admit that when we start talking about a problem, we just go round and round, round and round, round and round, into that problem itself. It becomes more like a jalebi conversation. We are just going round in circles, and that round in circles is all about the problem. So when you're discussing about the problem, you're focusing more on the situation. So spending less time on the problem and spending more time, towards the solution. Okay. Uh, for example, your kids are missing their school bus almost every day in the morning, and you are the one who are going to drop your kids, and you are a working person. Now in this situation, you want to tell your spouse that, uh, you want to talk about this situation. So if in a messy situation, in a messy relationship, how a woman would do is she would say that, listen, I am the only one who is all the time dropping kids to school every morning. And the biggest trouble is that you are sitting late night watching TV, as a result of which children are just not able to sleep. They don't wish to sleep. They also start watching TV with you. My telling them doesn't have an impact. You never ever tell them to sleep early. And when they don't sleep early, they are getting up late. And when they get up late, they miss their bus. And like a servant, I'm the one who is always dropping kids. Will you take some responsibility? Or you're so mean that you leave all this to me. That's one way of saying it. But that's a harsh startup. That's a complaint, that's a genuine concern, but that's a harsh way to talk. And if this is how it happens, then the other person is going to switch off. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to be talking about children miss their school bus every day, and the reason is that they're getting up late. Okay. And if they're getting up late, then what's the best way that they can get up early? Now here you're talking only about the situation, and you're focusing on the solution. What is the best way they can get up early? Now your focus, you talked about the problem, but then you focused on more on the solution. So your partner will also start to focus more towards the solution. You've talked about the current situation. There is no past, there is no future. Future as in, if you this is what they can, if this is what continues, then they will get into the habit of watching TV late night, etc., etc. That's future. But then the way I just now discussed is, all right, this is the problem, what is the solution? Okay. Third thing you will also need to remember is that when you're going to talk about this, you're not going to be talking in terms of blame. You watch TV late night, you don't take responsibility, you have put the entire responsibility on me, you don't care, you are only concerned about your work. Now, this is absolute blame. This may be true, but if this is how you put it across, then again your partner is going to switch off and will not listen to you. So the manner of conversation is going to be I. Now, I does not mean it's a blame. I is more in terms of how you're feeling about the situation. So you could be saying this, that, you know, when kids sleep late at night, when they get up late in the morning and they miss their school bus, my God, I to just get a headache. I don't feel comfortable at all. I get late to work. My boss also shouts at me, and I feel so helpless in this situation. Can you do something about it? Can you help me? How do you think this can be resolved? Okay, so you're talking more in terms of this is how I feel. Can you help? Do you see the difference in terms of where to use I and how to use you? You is in terms of, okay, what help can you give? I is in terms of, this is how I am feeling, right? So this is the third point you will keep in mind. Talk When you talk about the situation, it is the current situation. Second, you're talking only in terms of, I mean, not only, but focusing in terms of the solution. Third, you're talking in terms of, this is how I feel about it. Okay, this is the third point in terms of your own feelings. Okay, point number four, very very important. uh, I'll give an example of my client where they got married, and soon after marriage, husband talked to his wife a lot about his childhood experiences. He had extremely rough childhood, and he spoke all about his childhood to his wife. There came a time when He was visiting his parents once every week. He would go there, have dinner, and come back. On every weekend he would do that. Now this is something which the wife objected to, and in one of the arguments that they were having, she brought out this topic in terms of, if you have suffered so much in your childhood days, why are you going to your parents? Why don't you just leave them? Because the way they have treated you has been so unfair, it makes no sense for you to go there. And I am telling you in very simple words, but these arguments between them were very, very heated, and these arguments had also turned abusive. And the husband shut off completely because he realized he will not be able to trust her with the confidential information. He cannot trust her with his emotions, right? Because he confessed something in his weak moments. He was quite shocked when this came up, as wherein she was taking undue advantage of the information she had about him. So when you are discussing even the toughest of the problems to solve, never take advantage of the fact that if your partner has confessed something to you, you take advantage of that and throw it back on your partner, wherein it makes him your partner to shrink, and then your partner draws that wall. He or she will not be able to communicate beyond a certain point. And this is one point which definitely applies to both men and women. Okay, so if somebody has confessed, if your partner has confessed in the past, keep that information with you, with lot of gentleness and care, and that's to be used at a different point in time in a very, very positive and a supportive way. That's point number 4. Okay, these are the points you will keep in mind. And last but not the least, if you want to talk about something which is tough, which is a difficult topic, you first have that conversation with your partner in your mind, in your head. So imagine that you and your partner are sitting together and that conversation is going on. Okay, alternately, you could go in front of the mirror and imagine that this person in the mirror is your partner, and then talk it out in front of the mirror. Now when you talk out in the front of the mirror, see what's happening to you in your body. How are you feeling when you're discussing that very tough topic? If you are feeling comfortable, great, go and discuss. But if you think you are not feeling comfortable, if there is some discomfort inside you, you're not, it could be your heartbeat going up, it could be you experiencing pain somewhere, it could be you experiencing some kind of wanting to cry. If those are the kind of things that are happening when you're having the talk in your head, and when you're rehearsing in front of the mirror, then you got to attend to that, because that's the emotional pain that's surfacing. If you go and talk to your partner when your emotional pain is showing up, then that conversation is going to do a lot of harm to the relationship. So you attend to that pain, and the best way, I mean, there is a lot to do, but I'm telling you, one short way to attend to that pain is just be with it. Okay, let it show up. Do not move from there. Sit with yourself and just allow yourself to experience that pain to the fullest. If it means a lot of crying, cry it out. If it means uh, using all kinds of dirty words in your head, use them, and let that get released from you. The only important point you will keep hearing at this point in time is that you will not get drowned in that emotion. You will experience it, but then there is one part of you which is also witnessing that emotion from a distance. Okay, so and when that emotion gets released, it may not get released completely at that point in time. You may have to take, may have to sit down for more number of times, whatever times, number of times it takes, sit down until that gets released. When that gets released, that's the time you will go up and talk it out. You must talk it out so that the matter settles. Okay, so keep these 5 points in your mind, and This is called soft startup, and this is the difference between happy marriages and unhappy marriages. And it doesn't matter even if the woman brings up the difficult topics. The way you bring it up, the way you start the conversation is going to determine the nature of your relationship. It's going to impact your relationship. I want you to implement this and see what happens when you start the conversation soft. I would like to know, after you start to practice it. I would like to definitely know in the comment box. And if you get stuck, yes, I am there for so many more days. We will take it up, and I will take it up in the discussion if you want. Okay, that's it from me to you today. I am going to be seeing you tomorrow at 3:30. You take care. Bye.